Welcome, everybody. Appreciate you guys joining us for the first edition of Skol with Steggie. This will actually be the first in a series of videos that we're doing here at the Skull Purple podcast. We'll talk a little football. We'll obviously talk a lot of Vikings football, but we'll also talk about some different games going on around the league, some different aspects that maybe we don't talk about in some of our other videos, including betting lines and also some fantasy outlooks for our different games, as well as have on some fantastic guests. Without further ado, I want to introduce our first guest, which is actually Drew Harrison.
Yeah.
Bring him on in here. Hey, Drew, how are you doing?
What's up, man?
Doing great, man.
Thanks
You
for
know,
having me. I
basketball's
didn't know
back.
I was going to be on the first episode, man. I feel so honored.
You were on the first episode.
Look at that.
Yeah, basketball's back, and that matters because we are in the bye week for the Vikings. So I'm just trying to fill
Okay.
my time.
Are you a Timberwolves fan as well?
I am a Timberwolves fan.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. Getting some
begrudgingly.
good young players. Okay. I'm a Celtics fan, so
Oh, you're
I
a
hear you.
Celtics fan. Well, we
Yeah.
can be friends. That's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, go
Different
KG.
conferences. We're good. Yeah. Thanks for lending him to us in those last few years.
Absolutely. Yeah, before his knees turned to powder.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yes, welcome comedian Drew Harrison. Again, he's joining us this week. Again, every week we'll try to bring in a new guest where, again, we'll talk sports, we'll talk football, and again, we'll finish up by talking some betting lines and some fantasy outlook for the next week. But topically, our guest we have with us, if you can't tell by the background that he is a Carolina Panthers fan. So, Drew, I kind of want to start the show off by asking, what the hell's going on in Carolina?
Man, I came on this podcast in hopes that you could tell me. Because I don't know. A lot of drama. We had to get rid of a wide receiver because he was yelling at coaches. But a lot of Panthers Twitter was on his side. So I don't know who's at fault here. I don't really care, to be honest with you, because no, to call it bluntly, we're getting all new coaches next year anyway. So burn it to the ground. I want that number one pick.
Yeah, so do you not think that there's a possibility that Wilkes takes over full term, or do you just think they're just going to start from the ground up, tear
I
everything down?
I mean, I'm a Wilkes fan. I really like Steve Wilkes. Great great years with him and running the defense. I was happy to hear he came back as the I think he was a secondary coach. But I don't see us putting it together anytime soon. So I mean, you I don't think Tepper's gonna reward my man for going over, which is a very real possibility.
Yeah, yeah. I as a Vikings fan, it's been kind of an interesting, uh, from looking from a third party perspective. That is because we had some similarities with Mike Zimmer. One of the things that we as a fan base, and certainly it seems like the organization had issues with, was that Zimmer was this kind of authoritarian type of coach where it was kind of the no fun league, and the
Yeah,
players started to feel like he was coming down on them all the time. Everything had to be perfect, and certainly no matter what NFL franchise you're a part of, you're a professional athlete, excellence is expected. But these
yeah.
are young guys making millions of
Let
dollars.
him have fun.
Yeah, let them
Yeah,
have some fun, and then the other thing is too is it's hard on the culture,
yeah.
and not to just rub salt in the wound here, but winning
It's okay.
also helps. So when you're not winning,
What's
you know,
what's what's this winning thing you talk about then? I don't know. I
yeah,
don't
I
know what
mean,
this is.
and that's kind of what happened with the Vikings. I mean, when
Yeah,
we really started to slide over the last couple of years with Zimmer, the heavy hand or the handedness of Zimmer, it just became too much. I think the
yeah,
culture fell apart. What helped Zimmer, I think, last longer in that sense is that we did have some winning years early where we had some
yeah,
playoff runs. I mean, we made it to the NFC Championship game with Case Keenum
yeah.
back in 2017.
I
Uh,
love anytime y'all play the Saints in the playoffs. By the way, just throwing
Yeah,
that out
we
there.
appreciate it too, minus the 2009 season. As if
Yeah,
that one could just go away, that would be.
that's
But
fair.
we have been on the road for revenge ever since 2000. It feels like we've been playing spoiler against that team pretty
I
much
love
ever
it.
since
Yeah,
the
beat
'09
them
season.
every time you can. You have the NFC South's blessing.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not a big Saints fan. But you know what?
No.
Look, at the end of the day, I find some personal pleasure in what was it? Was Sean Payton did the choke symbol or the choke sign, and then he was doing the Skol chant
Yeah.
right before the Minneapolis Miracle. And boy, if I could just relive that like 10-minute
You
loop,
you
that was fantastic.
you never celebrate too early. You never do. It always comes back to bite you.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
So I
no,
mean,
I don't know where we're headed, to be honest with you, man. I think it's gonna get real, real bad this year. Unless I don't know, this could be the lunatic in me talking. If Sam Darnold comes back and has somewhat of a chance to throw down the field, but at this point, I want them to throw in Jacob Eason and the gunslinger, and that way we can, he's going to throw 2 picks a game, but we'll get to take a good look at these wide receivers, really assess where they're at, see who's in the plans moving forward. Because I don't think we need to necessarily do a fire sale. I think we got some good young players that we can keep around. Like our defense, I don't want them to touch the young players on defense, no matter what they're offering. I think some players should just be off limits, and I'm hoping that that's the case with the front office. But I just think we need to get focused on getting some high draft picks, really focusing on that, personnel evaluation, see where we're at, see what we got on our hands, but then again, that's super hard to do when this isn't the coaching staff.
yeah.
They might have a different evaluation.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously I keep trying to make parallels, but it was a similar, I don't want to say uneasy feeling, but where we just didn't know what direction the team was going to go
Yeah,
because we knew the pendulum was going to swing the other way, right? You've got Mike Zimmer and his staff, which was very much run first, defense, 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 and then transitioning to Kevin O'Connell, who we hired this offseason. We hired a new general manager who's very much an analytics driven guy,
yeah,
younger guy, came over from the Shanahan, um, kind of coaching and staff tree, both of these guys. And, that's like new age NFL. So for us Vikings fans, it was like, what are we going to see? And how many players are we going to replace? What are they going to do? And obviously it helps that we're 5-1, so we can all be pretty happy about it. But I'd be lying if I said that everything's been perfect. I think that
that's
we
fair.
certainly have looked weak in spots. And, I mean, we'll see how it goes. Certainly, again, 5-1 kind of covers up a lot of pain. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, I
But I
mean, I
mean,
certainly go
how
ahead.
do you feel about your kind of flip it on you? Because I don't want to, I don't want to kick this 5-1 season out from under you. But how do you feel about your quarterback future? Like how many more years can y'all play with Cousins? What's the game plan after that? Like what's up within the QB? Because I'm not gonna lie to you, man. All cards on the table, and I might get booed out of this podcast. Not a Cousins fan.
Well, you came to the right podcast
Okay.
because, in general, we are fairly critical of Cousins.
Okay.
I'm not a Cousins hater, nor am I a Cousins, um, stan either. I would
Okay.
say,
You're at meh.
my yeah, my
Cousins
out
meh.
yeah, my outlook on Cousins is really that I think he has a lot of talent. I think he has an immense amount of talent. Where I see Cousins' weakness is not so much in his natural abilities. It's it's up here.
He's I
Yeah.
I mean this in the nicest terms possible. Dude's an idiot.
He might be. And I really think that he's missing that extra gear that every elite quarterback has. When you look
You
at
like that?
yeah,
I just
yeah,
I just that's all
yeah.
I'll always have in my head for old Kirko.
Well, now I don't know if you were privy to this because again, being outside of the Minnesota fan base bubble. So last year, I want to say it was the Detroit game in Minnesota, or it could have been in Detroit. Either way, we were playing the Lions. And we had a late game comeback, kicked a field goal to win the game, and obviously Kirk Cousins was the one that drove him down there. Time expires, we kick a field goal. And he went up to uh Zimmer and grabbed him like by the shirt and apparently said, "You like that? You like that?" Just what you were saying, because that's his go-to. That's his bread and butter right there.
I play the
And
football coach. You like that? Huh?
but like super aggressive, like he was really getting in there. And Zimmer looked like he was gonna punch him right in the
I
face.
wish you would have. That would have been great. Would
And
have been
yeah,
Zimmer.
Zimmer Cousins fight on the field would have
Oh, I
been,
would have loved that. I would
yeah,
have eaten
that's
that up. But
Sports
no,
Center top 10 right there.
as an outsider, what would you do? What would you hope for as a Carolina Panther fan going forward? Who would you put in as a QB situation? Would you let Baker go down with the ship?
Ooh, yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, I know he's dealing with was it an ankle, right?
Yeah.
That's, I think. I don't know. Um
Who knows at this point?
yeah, I don't know. I think you I think you just, if it were me, I would want to see either Darnold or Mayfield so we can definitively say this guy's not it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and I'm sure there are some out there that would say, "Well, we already know that." But um
We
at the
need the
same time,
definite.
it's kind of like if you're not gonna win, if this year's not gonna be the year. So at the end of the day, it's more about evaluating talent. Then I'd say you let him go in, you pick a guy, see what they can do, and then you can always swap them out later. I mean, look, sounds like Darnold is probably a week away from coming back. Um, and maybe throw him in there. Mayfield's, I guess, what was it? I think the MRI said some potential ligament damage, so he's still back to 2 to 6 weeks
Jesus.
or whatever's going on there. And then you
Yeah.
got, I had to look because I made some notes. PJ Walker,
Yeah.
whoever that guy is. Um,
XFL legend.
and I just think that you're in evaluation mode. It's just who's going to stick around,
Yep.
who's not going to stick around. I think Wilkes is going to want to do the best he can to be competitive because it's in his best interest, whether he's with Carolina or not, to show that
Yes.
he can coach a team, so he
Yeah.
can continue to obviously be employed other places. So it's
Because I
not
mean,
like he's just going to lay down. I mean, he's going to
right.
want to compete.
I would definitely come in as a new coach, and if I didn't have a diehard person in mind for the defense, because I mean the Carolina defense has always looked the best when
Yeah.
he's around some way, shape, or form. So I definitely would come in and be like, "You got to stay as some part of this." I know that's hard to do to go from interim coach to going back to what you're doing, but
Well, and
why
I
not?
I want to run some numbers by you. So again, I'm a nerd and I track all these stats every week for daily fantasy. DM me if you want more. No, but I'm gonna run through some numbers for you. And the defense, I think, while it hasn't been, great, it hasn't really been terrible this year.
No,
So far through 6 weeks, Carolina is giving up 24 points a game. Um, they're giving up 133 yards on the ground on average, which
that's
is,
killing us.
it's not great, but it's not, you're not bottom of the league, but
But
it's not great.
that's definitely not what history shows Carolina defense to be doing.
Oh, no, 100%. No, I mean historically they've had very good. I mean that's been the backbone of the team.
Yeah,
And
always been good against the run, but the
I
pass
think
is
what
usually what gets us.
yeah, and actually it the outside of the New Orleans game and a little bit with the Rams last week. Um, if you remove those 2 games, the pass defense actually has been pretty good.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I mean, the New Orleans game is where it really throws the stats off because the Saints went off for 330 yards just to wide
Yeah.
receivers that week.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
hey, we had as bad of a game last week against Miami, against, by the way, 2 backup quarterbacks. We gave up over 300 yards to receivers.
I didn't
On
realize till I was going through the like my own recap of the week that Teddy came back and played most of the game.
Yeah, Teddy do 2 gloves. As a Vikings fan, I will always have a special place for Mr. Bridgewater because he just seems like a solid dude. And
Yeah. Yeah.
um, to see him come back from that injury, which I mean could have easily like they could have
Probably should have.
lost his leg, you
Yeah.
know. That was super cool. And yeah, he was always great while he was here. So I got nothing but love for Teddy.
That's fair. We had a rough
Um
year with him, but yeah, love for Teddy.
You guys are pretty solid against tight ends. 30 about 33, 34 yards a game. Same with pass catching running backs. Pretty much about 34 points a game or 34 yards a game, excuse me. Total passing yards, 232. And that's pretty good. That's
Yeah,
not
I'll take
bad.
that. I'll take that.
Because that's total yards.
Yeah.
And then yeah, total yards is at 365. I can tell you you're at total yards of offense per game. It's better than the Vikings, and the Vikings are at 5-1. So,
What
you
are
it's
what
just
are we again?
yeah, right. But the thing is, and big surprise, it's the offense. The offensive side that's what's really
We've been
hurting you
holding
guys.
teams, we just can't score more points than
Well, who started for you
teams.
guys last week? Was it who started at quarterback?
PJ. And then Eason came in.
Well, when I was compiling the stats this week, I saw something that I've never seen before. The Carolina Panthers only passed 7 yards to all of their wide receivers combined last week.
Yes.
I had to do a double take. I'm like, 7 yards? Not 70, which would still not be good.
See, there's a lot of
7.
signs that show to Robbie not being in the wrong.
Yeah, and that really is a good segue. So then you have Robbie Anderson, who gets traded to the Cardinals. Obviously, you have Malcolm Brown, who goes down with the Cards. Now, the funny thing with that, everybody's been talking about, well, Hollywood goes down. That's why they got Anderson. Yeah, but D Hop comes back this week.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I necessarily buy that narrative completely. I think they would love to have had Hollywood and D Hop. So I totally get it why they would want another top tier
Why not?
wide receiver. But yeah, I mean that's your number one wide receiver for a 6th and a 7th round pick. Um, and I certainly
And
understand the
20
production.
million dead cap.
Yeah, that was the scary part. The 20 million spread across 2 years is a lot of money to have to give up for a team that's looking
Needs
to
every bit we can get.
yeah looking to rebuild, and it hurts in free agency. When you're trying to
Very
get
much so.
some. I think the big thing with rebuilding teams is that you need to have guys, and I look to Buffalo who did it this way. Is certainly they got lucky, and I say lucky in quotations because I get that homework goes into drafting people. But a lot of guys look great in college and then they get drafted and they're terrible. So there's
Allen
an
actually
element.
panned out for him. Yes.
Yeah, Josh Allen looks great, but you have to have other guys in place to bring along the culture that you want to instill when you start drafting these guys. So,
Yep.
um, it's I think where that dead cap money hurts them the most is to bring in maybe some of these veterans to teach some of these guys they're going to draft to hopefully for the future build a a winning culture and all that stuff. So yeah, that's tough. And then it sounds like they're shopping potentially McCaffrey. I saw that this week that he's on the block. I mean, is that something that you guys think as a fan base is well, one, do you want him to be shopped? Would you like to see a trade? And two, do you think it's going to happen?
I don't. I want to see him stay in Carolina because obviously he's the most exciting thing about the team. So I don't. I don't want that to go away, and that's attractive to a quarterback coming to play. So
Yeah,
you need that Swiss Army knife, especially if we're going to keep selling off our wide receivers for nothing.
yeah.
But
Well, and the other aspect is too that's how the league is going is these dual threat backs. That can come out of the backfield and they can line up in the slot or do all these different things. And we're kind of stuck in the same similar position with Dalvin Cook. We've talked about it on the Skull Purple podcast before, where I don't know if this is, or I should say, I don't know if we'll have Dalvin past the season. This might be his last year in purple. Not so much because I think he's not worth more time or money.
it's just you
I
got
just
to
don't
pay
think
him.
we can afford him.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, can we go to more of a running back by committee scenario where we save 70% of our capital, but we're getting 80%, 90% of the production out of a couple of different backs.
Yeah.
So That's kind of how the league has been trending. I mean, that's been the Belichickian kind of way that everybody's tried to recreate. And honestly, I think the Vikings will probably go that route if I had to guess.
When you
If
really think about it, it's a smart way to go. Like, and that's coming from a player like now we're locked into that big contract with CMC. That's why I don't think we'll be able to deal him because I think we're going to want way too much. A team's not going to give up those assets just to pay a running back 16 million a year.
Yeah. Yeah, and I actually, if I were to give my opinion on what the Panthers will do and what I think they should do, I think they should keep him.
Why not?
Because I think you're right in the sense that he's an attractive player for other offensive players to want to be around, especially a quarterback. And two, I think he again, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe you have a different opinion because you watch the team more closely than I do, but he seems like a good presence in the locker room.
Very
He
much so.
doesn't seem like a guy that's a problem,
Yeah,
and that's good for the young guys. That's good for the
for
young
sure.
guys to be around to keep grinding, and he can be an example. So,
I do
um,
want to have a dynamic enough offense that he can spend way more time in the slot to kind of help with that wear and tear over the years because he is in his second contract. He's not on his rookie deal anymore. We did elect to pay him. Now let's take care of him a little bit. We brought in Foreman and we drafted Chuba a couple years ago. Take the stress off him, man, and still let him be a part of the offense.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think as a franchise, I'd look to keep him, but at the end of the day, I suppose everybody has a price, and if some team comes calling, and
Yeah.
maybe there's a young. I mean, here's a pitch for you. What if New England? Not that they'd ever do this.
No.
What if New England says, "Hey, we got Zappy. You wanna do a little wheeling
It's
and
looking
dealing?"
good, right? Like,
um,
but I don't think I think the Panthers finally have to draft a quarterback to appease the fan base. We're tired of getting taking these flyers on guys. Like we gotta draft someone who's a Carolina Panther and is just a Carolina Panther, and that's it.
yeah, it's probably been since Newton, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we've drafted a couple that they didn't pan out. Mr. Will Greer. Uh,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's really the same story for the Vikings, except almost worse. The last homegrown quarterback we've succeeded with was Dante Culpepper.
I mean, that's a pretty good one. I'll give
I
you
mean, I
that.
guess I'll
That
take
was
it back.
long.
I take it back. We did go to, I think, one playoff game with Christian Ponder. So
Okay.
I mean,
He was supposed to be the real deal though, man. That's crazy.
I
Like
don't
all
want to admit
these
this,
all
but
these quarterbacks.
I
Chris
had a,
Winkie, all these Florida State quarterbacks.
oh, that's right, Chris Winkie, man. Yeah, and wasn't he, if I remember right, Winkie came out of college and
At
he
like
got
28.
drafted he was old, wasn't he? He was old
He was
man.
28 when he got
Yeah.
drafted. And he got the Panthers picked him up.
Look at this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, living the dream. So what you're
Yeah.
telling me, Drew, is at 36, if I start maybe wearing some ankle weights and running the route tree, I've got a chance.
Yeah.
I can
Hey,
see.
the only thing that helps us out with fellas shaped like us, buddy, is the fullbacks are making a big comeback. So
Oh
there's
yeah.
always could be work as a human bulldozer.
Well, I might have a new favorite player that's not a Carolina Panther for you. We've got a big boy here that plays fullback, and he's a homegrown Minnesota kid, and his last name is Ham. So we got a
I have
big
seen
boy
him. Yeah,
fullback, and the
yeah.
last name on his jersey is Ham.
Got respect. Respect.
Yeah. All right. Well, we will keep on moving here. So I'm going to touch on, well, at least attempt to touch on, kind of what's going on with the Vikings, and certainly I'll let you ask any questions you might have about my Minnesota Vikings. You did ask about Kirk Cousins, so I'm going to actually make that. I'm going to come full circle on Cousins because I'm going to finish my thought there. I think that Cousins is, again, he's got lots of talent. I think where he's missing is that um, there's that extra gear. He's missing that extra gear that a top tier quarterback needs to have. Um, I've always said this. We talked about Teddy. If you were to take Kirk Cousins' ability and Teddy Bridgewater's brain, you'd have Tom Brady. Like it's just because Teddy was, for all of his flaws, he played his best football in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And he had that extra gear. The problem with Teddy was he didn't have all the natural talent.
He
And
tries so hard.
what's that?
You never trust a quarterback that wears 2 gloves. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Well,
Kenny
and
Pickett, I'm looking at you too, buddy.
what was weird to me is I don't ever remember them talking about him having small hands because usually that's a big thing with the draft process. And when they talk about guys that wear the gloves, it's because they have small hands. But I don't ever remember Teddy with the small hand thing. I don't know if it was just
I
like a
think it's just a
preference thing.
grip thing, yeah. Because
Yeah.
he didn't wear it from the start, did he?
Oh yeah, he came
Oh, he did?
out of
He came in the
college
league with
when
him?
he was in
Okay.
Louisville.
Okay.
Yeah, he was Teddy Two Gloves.
Teddy Two Glo
Teddy Two
What a terrible
Gloves.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's so as far as Cousins is concerned, I put Kirk Cousins in the Matt Ryan class of quarterbacks. I'm not saying he's as good as Matt Ryan at his peak. I'm just saying he's in the class of quarterbacks that can put up huge numbers, but at the end of the day, they need a good team around them. They need weapons. They need other facets of the team to step up to win consistently. There are going to be games where Kirk is just going to go off, and it's going to be like, is this guy an MVP candidate? But you're also going to have games where we basically need the defense to step up because he's just going to be flat for three quarters of a game. So yeah, I mean, I'm not. Again, I'm not a hater. I'm not a lover of Kirk Cousins. It's just he is what he is. I think we you can win with Cousins. It's just, do we have the supporting cast to win deep into the playoffs? I don't know. I don't think so. If I'm really being honest, I think
Yeah.
there's still too many holes on this team. I think we have a good enough team to make the playoffs and maybe win a game. But our defense is pretty suspect right now.
Yeah. Now how many more, like, do you think start drafting a quarterback? Do you try to keep, like, bring a free agent in and fill the holes with the team in the draft? Like, what does the future of Minnesota Viking football look like?
Yeah, I think you got to draft a guy, and I'm sure that's probably the route that they'd look to go. Maybe draft some sort of third rounder, and I mean, Cousins has another year on his deal, so he's going to be here this year. He'll be here next year, um, and I think the hope is that you draft a guy and see how it goes. Maybe he
Yeah.
can go. He can sit behind Cousins for for at least a year, maybe two, and hopefully bring him up that way. I mean, of course, that's what every team wants to do. So
And then they
it's just
always get thrown into the mix.
yeah. I mean, luckily for the Vikings, depending on how you feel about Cousins, he's been very durable.
Uh-oh,
So
knock on wood, he's going
I
out
think
next
he's
week.
missed one game since he's been with the Vikings, and it was just because of the COVID stuff last year, where he was exposed. He was licking doorknobs somewhere.
Yeah,
But
he's an idiot about all that, but whatever.
but yeah, so I think Cousins is, again, he's okay. But yeah, the future is not, in my opinion, is not Cousins. It's got to be draft and develop. So we'll see. And then yeah, I mean, our offense is certainly, you got to love Justin
Gotta
Jefferson.
keep him happy, keep him around,
Yeah, and he's gonna want to get paid, man. And these
and
receivers right now,
that's another reason why you need a rookie quarterback on a rookie deal.
yeah. No, and I couldn't agree more. We've got the Dalvin situation. Again, I think he'll probably be gone after this year. You have Adam Thielen, who, if you're a Vikings fan and been watching all this year, he's kind of regressed back to the mean a little bit, and he's getting older. He's
Yeah,
never been the speediest guy. He's got great
but he's
hands. He
always
runs,
relied on his footwork to overcome the lack of speed, and he's
yeah,
losing that a little bit.
and he's still crafty. So
Yeah,
he's a great possession receiver right now. You put him on any team, he's still going to start. It's just, is
yeah,
he going to be a number two or number three? He's just definitely
yeah.
not a number one anymore. I don't think he could even be in that talk.
Not with
Um,
Jefferson on the team.
and then we've got a young guy. We've got a young guy, KJ Osborne, who's in his
Showing great stuff.
yeah, second year,
Is he
and
from Miami?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah, that sounds right. Yep. And yeah, good kid, speedy, strong kid, great hands. It's just, we have a lot of talent in that wide receiver room. So when you're number 3 in the depth chart, it's hard to always get the looks, but he's been getting them because boy, we've seen at least 2 games this year where they're literally triple teaming Jefferson.
I would.
So,
I would
uh,
if I was a defensive coordinator. You're gonna
the
have to beat me
problem
somewhere else.
is that the way Cousins has been operating, it's if the first read's not there, he kind of just doesn't know what to do, and usually the first read is Jefferson. So it's like, man, if these guys are giving you these looks, you gotta
Yeah,
take what the
you
defense
got
is
a
giving you.
great tight end. I'm a fan of Irv.
Oh, yeah, we all love Irv. Now, granted, he had the case of the dropsies for the first couple weeks of the season,
He'll figure it
so
out.
that's fine. It is what
Yeah,
it is.
yeah,
I have all the confidence in the world with him. I think he's a very, very talented young player. So, and I've seen the swag start to come back with him over the
yeah,
last couple weeks.
yeah,
So he'll get
yeah.
back to where we need him to be.
So, how do you feel about the state of the Vikings compared to kind of the other teams in the division that some might say are faltering a little bit this year?
You mean the Packers?
And company.
Yeah. Um, yeah, we'll start with them because it's always fun to make fun of them. I yeah, I mean, it's been fun watching the Packers be sadly for their fan base mediocre this year. It's just
Yeah.
it's weird. It's weird for a Vikings fan because we are so used to them nipping at our heels throughout the whole season. I mean, to be up by 2.5 games at this point is
Week 7.
huge.
Yeah.
And I think that yeah, I don't know if you actually saw this report or it was part of the constant rumor mill that's always going around the NFL, but I believe it was this week or maybe it was even last week. I can't remember, but there was some team sources that had come out and said that Rodgers has told the organization this is his last year
Yeah,
playing.
he's pretty frustrated. But then
Yeah.
again, he's said that before, so we'll see. I don't so little background between me and Rogers is I was team Rogers. I was enjoying the heel turn. I was enjoying him grasping the villain of the NFL. And then I watched a couple games and the constant camera turning to him and him shaking his head and getting mad at these young receivers that he didn't help in the offseason. I'm done. I'm jumping off the Rodgers bandwagon. They can falter as much as they want to this year.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree with you more. And I mean, as a football fan, not just a Vikings fan, but as a football fan, it is. I mean, it's like one of the best parts about football. And just organized team sports in general is that team camaraderie. And I look at the end of the day, I get these are professionals; it's their job. But
Right.
if you look at the good teams, most years, the good teams are also the teams that gel and they have some sort of cohesive culture that they can rally around. And yeah, I mean, Rogers is kind of he just kind of seems like he's a little, and we've all known he's a little selfish, but at
Yeah.
the end of the day you got to take accountability. And I don't care if it's football or not. If you can't take accountability for your own faults, then it's a bit of a red flag for me as a person.
Yeah.
And
It's one of
certainly,
those
I'm
things that's
sure.
funny for a little bit, but now it sucks.
Yeah, yeah, man. I mean, it's just one of those things where I don't think I'd want to be a receiver on that team because he's constantly barking at you. And I mean, I've seen him make not great throws, where it's definitely off target. And then he's just like, he's either giving this guy a death stare or he's, chewing him out before they leave the field. And
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe the guy ran the wrong route. I have no idea. It just seems to me that maybe a different approach is necessary instead of treating these guys like, he's the next coming of Jesus. And then, these guys are just the peasants that need to, bow down before him. It's very off-putting, and I hate the Packers, and I hope they lose every game. But
Yeah,
beyond that,
I don't understand you mean to tell me the philosophy of yell at him until it works isn't working for him?
yeah, well, it worked out really well for Matt Rule and Mike Zimmer. So
Yell at him.
Yell at him into submission.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, the Packers have looked rough. Packers have looked rough. And then you got the Bears. The Bears are an interesting team. I mean, they're certainly in rebuilding mode. Um, I really think this season feels like that last year for Brady in New England, and I think they had a good year that year, but I just mean in the sense that if Rodgers is really leaving, now you've got the Vikings who, you know, I think are talented enough to kind of basically unseat them from number 1 being the number 1 team in the division. But then you've got a couple teams that are trying to rebuild, and there's some good things there. So
Yeah.
Chicago, I'm not a Justin Fields hater. I think the biggest thing I see with Fields is
Yeah.
that I don't know if his decision making is great all the time, but he has no talent around him. He has zero talent. So
Nobody. Not a receiver that can do anything. It sucks to watch. Like, I've never been a fan of throwing a young quarterback to the wolves on a dying organization. Like, I know our draft's set up to do that, but I hate that quarterbacks have been bumped up to the front of the draft in the first place. I loved the last year when the first quarterback went in the 20s. Like, I feel like that should be every year, but I know some teams need, if you got the first round pick, might as well go for try to swing for the fences, hit a home run if he pans out. But the number one picks usually don't pan out. So,
yeah.
it's something that gets your franchise energized and everything. But Justin Fields needed to hang out and develop and get put into the games when they had a tighter grip on the offensive line,
Yeah.
because my man is running for his life and just chunking the ball up before he gets tackled every single play.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely talent there. Um,
But how can you assess it? How can you tell what he would be with a good team?
yeah, and I think that's the tough part is it that he's not making the reads that he should be making, or is it that he just doesn't have enough talented guys to make those reads easy, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe it's a mixture of both, I don't know. And to your point, it's impossible to assess until you actually get some talent around him. Um,
Like, it
but I've
just
also
blows my
seen some
mind.
things where he
It
looks
blows my
great.
mind. Oh, sorry.
No, I was
No,
just gonna say I've seen some areas of some strength with him, so
yeah.
I'm not mailing it in on Fields yet.
No, no, I'm hoping for the best with him. I just don't think they can get enough talent around him in a short span before, he gets that, bad quarterback tag. Because it blows my mind to think about how many quarterbacks over the years could have worked out differently under different circumstances. And we'll never know because that first team goes, and that's why. I mean, I'm saying this as a Carolina Panthers fan who's saying a lot of second chances don't work out either, but it's a lot of, like, maybe by the time Darnold came to Carolina, there was no hope for him because of all those bad years with the Jets. I
Yeah,
don't
no,
Baker doesn't have an excuse. He just sucks. But
yeah, we're not gonna be charitable to Baker.
no,
Well, and that really, I mean, I was I was actually Team Baker for a little while, where
same. I was excited
I
about
was
it.
like it's Cleveland. I'm like it's Cleveland, and I was a fan of his coming out of college. I just liked the aggressive nature. I liked his kind of winning spirit that he had,
Yeah, you need that.
and
I like the feisty quarterbacks. Get in
yeah,
a fight.
you want a guy with some dog in him.
Yeah,
That he's going to go out there and be scrappy, and um, everybody likes the guy has a little bit of underdog too, where he was a little undersized, and you like to see those guys succeed, except for Russell Wilson. But but I was definitely Team Baker, and I was on the side of like it's a Cleveland problem. Cleveland sucks. It's a bad organization. It's not well run, and I was super excited for him to go to Carolina because I thought, man, this is his chance to prove that he is a starter in this league. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's him. I don't know if it's the system. If it was all on Rule, maybe it's a mixture of everything.
I
And
think it's unfortunately a mixture of all everything. You got to hit Reese. Got it. Everyone's got to go.
yeah.
Got to go.
I think you're right. I think it's just a mixture of everything, and it's unfortunate because you talked about it with Fields. That's probably what's just gonna happen to Baker. I don't know what's gonna happen to Baker, but
I
he's
mean,
just
what
gonna
team would want
basically
him
be
after this?
yeah, he'll be labeled a bad quarterback, and then the sad thing is with those types of quarterbacks is that, and this is one thing that's always baffled me. It's like, how can you have a quarterback that started X amount of games, and then they can't find a backup job anymore?
Right.
That's just something I've always had a question about with the NFL.
Look
All
how
right.
long Nathan Peterman lasted in the league.
Yeah, it's like if you wanna make a bunch of money in the NFL, the formula is don't ever be good enough to start.
The Chase Daniel
Just just
way
be
of
good
winning.
enough to be a backup for forever.
Or
So
or the Sam Bradford way of playing. Play enough to get a contract and then get hurt and not have to play anymore.
yeah, yeah, Mr. Glass, we had to live through a couple years
I was a
with Brad.
Bradford believer, man. I was a big fan of his in college, and then poof,
Yeah, I wanted
NFL is
Bradford.
rough,
I really wanted Bradford to work out. I mean, obviously, as a Vikings fan, you want your quarterback to succeed, but
obviously.
he was the same kinda guy where it was like, you see all this talent, and then he steps into a throw for an 80-yard touchdown, and you're like, "Oh, man, this guy's if he could just stay healthy." And then
And
right
he
when you
had
have that
everything.
conversation, they're like, "Oh, Bradford's holding his knee, and he's out for, 9 weeks."
Yeah,
And really
done
what
for
it
the
was
year.
with Bradford, because that was really the end of it, his career was when he finished with the Vikings. Um, his knees were he had arthritis. He had
Yeah,
arthritis in his knees, he had bone on bone, um, and I mean, it just is what it is. That's just a degenerative, thing he had going on, and whatever. You feel for a guy like that. I'm not gonna
yeah.
feel too bad for him. I mean, the
Right.
guy made
He's sitting in his mansion right now.
yeah, yeah. Oh, boo hoo.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry you can't get to your furthest away jacuzzi. You'll have to
Yeah,
settle for the
yeah.
one that's close
I
by.
put one I put one in the living room. It's fine.
Yeah. He actually just lives in the jacuzzi.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah,
how I watch TV. Jeopardy
yeah.
every day.
He only puts pants on once a month.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's kind of the state of Chicago. Detroit. Did you watch Hard Knocks?
Yes. They won me over a little bit, not gonna lie. I'm a Campbell fan. Did not think I'd be a golf fan, but I'm kinda pulling for the guy a little bit. Uh, it's yeah, it is what it
Yeah,
I know they're the Detroit Lions, and they always unfortunately will probably be the Detroit Lions, but
yeah,
fun stuff to watch. I enjoy, Swift, I enjoy, St. Brown. They got some good players there, but just a team that just never feels like they can put it all together.
yeah. Well, I think what Detroit really struggles with is, and you kind of touched on this too. It's like Detroit's Detroit. It's this. It's just the culture, man. And I don't mean the culture in that like Campbell's doing anything wrong. I think Campbell's doing his best to change the culture. I just think there's that, and he talked about it on Hard Knocks a little bit. It's this idea that we're the Lions and we're just going to lose, you know, and we're not going to be great,
It gets in your
and
head.
and
Yeah.
you got to get through it. You got to get through it, and you have to start expecting to win.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys, um, what makes a lot of the top tier athletes, no matter the sport, great. You look at Jordan, you look at Brady, you look at Randy Moss is another one, a good example of this. Like all of these guys, they expect to win and they expect to dominate.
Yeah.
And look, I get every player can't be like that, but if everybody has that mentality, it just gets you into that extra gear. Where if you start having the doubt, those doubting feelings creeping in, it's just really easy to let things kind of slip on by. And it's intimidating, when other players see you like, no, like we're gonna win. Like I'm gonna I will beat you no matter what you throw at me.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's intimidating. And because they know they can't get in your head because you made up your mind you're gonna win. And
Yeah.
so I think they've got to get over that. I, as well as yourself, as crazy as he is, I think Campbell is fun. I think he's good for the league too. Because
Yeah, yeah, I wanna see him continue to be a head coach, but I understand that involves winning, so I would like to see Detroit win a couple here and there.
yeah, I will admit I am surprised that they are 1-4. I thought that
They've been
they
in
would
most
be.
games. That Patriots game was tough.
Yeah, the Patriots game was rough. I mean, they got blanked. Um, but they've been pretty competitive. The problem with Detroit is their off as good as their offense is, their defense is horrible. Like, it's so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, they're averaging giving up 34 points a game. You know,
Ah,
yeah,
how
on
do you
average.
and just to think that they've been in most games, like, that says something about
Well, their
how good
offense
this
is
offense could be with a okay defense. Because 'Cause I'm sure the offense is having to stay on the field more because the team's just marching down and scoring on the defense.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, their offense is averaging putting up 28 points a game. You know, that's a good offense. That's
Yeah.
one of the best offenses in the league statistically.
You can't ask too much more from Jared Goff.
Well, and the crazy thing is that average of 28 points, that's including the 0 they put up last week.
Oh, wow.
So if you take that out, here's my handy dandy, we love computers here. Uh Before that game, they were averaging 35 points a game offensively.
You should be winning. You should be 5-1.
Exactly. Exactly. So I just think there are some missing pieces there, but I like it, man. It's hard to root against the Lions, just because they've been in the basement of the league for so long,
Yeah.
and I mean, as
It's
a
just one of
Vikings
those
fan,
teams on the list that if they win, you're like, "Good for them."
yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the Bills, in a way where it's kind of hard to hate the Bills. I mean, I know they've had some success over the last few years, but boy, where were the Bills for however long before then? So.
My wife
Uh,
is a Chiefs fan, so it is feasible to imagine someone hating the Bills, I
It's a
promise
point
you.
of contention in the household. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll make sure the next time I send a gift basket, it includes a Stephon Diggs jersey then,
There you go.
and then I'll you guys will you guys will get, like, some sort of restraining order against me.
Yeah, yeah. Like,
Um,
can you get a mail restraining order?
I
Like a
maybe, I don't know.
that's what
Probably.
probably.
It's just the postman in his shorts just
Yeah, like,
rejects my
"Hey, if you see this, don't take it."
"Don't do it." Yeah. He just lights it on fire in front of me. He's
Yeah.
also a Chiefs fan. Um, all right. So that's kind of the Lions. That's the NFC North. I think the Vikings are in a good spot, but yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to see where this team goes. And I think right now, this season, my prediction is that I predicted before the season started that the Vikings would be 11-6, and that's
I can
about where
see that.
I see this team sitting, winning the division at 11-6. Um, if we have to face Philadelphia again, buckle up because I mean,
Yeah,
they killed us
they're a
in week
great team.
2. So, and they're a darn good team this year. So,
Who are you fingers crossed, who you hoping you play first round in the playoffs?
ooh, that's a great question. Let's see who's the. You know what? At this rate, um, I'm gonna say there's so many teams that are like 4-2, 3-3. If I were to have to choose another team that I think will make the playoffs, I think I'd take the Rams.
Okay, yeah, they look a little rough, not
Yeah.
gonna lie to you.
And Kevin O'Connell's familiar with the team, so we might
Get
look.
some insider information there.
All I'm saying is this. Hear me out. The Rams, great offense last year, right? Who was their offensive coordinator? Kevin O'Connell. He leaves. They're terrible. We're great. I'm kind of
Well,
thinking there's something there. That's all I'm
it's
saying.
not it's not too fair that he left town with Matt Stafford's right elbow.
Well, yeah, and I think he kneecapped OBJ too,
Okay.
like a Nancy Kerrigan type of thing.
I follow this NFL parody account, and they just sent they're like tag a Packers fan to scare him, and it's Vikings sign OBJ. Uh,
Yeah, that's the rumor mill has been going, man. That he might be on the train up to. People take trains anymore, but he may be
oh
on the
yeah,
way to
cost
Minnesota.
effective.
Yeah,
That would be insanity if you guys had Jefferson and OBJ.
yeah,
I'm very intrigued to see because a lot of the experts are split on if he's going to Kansas City or back to the Rams. But first of all, I don't think he wants to go back to the Rams, seeing what kind of state they're in.
yeah,
So I'm very intrigued to see where he lands.
yeah. I think there is a possibility he ends up in Minnesota. Um, I don't know if it makes as much sense because again, I think our receiving corps is pretty good.
I think yeah, give those opportunities to Osborne and bring Smith along more.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree, and you're gonna have to pay him, and I'm sure he's
It'll
gonna.
be a 1 year loan.
The thing with Odell too is I think he'll try to find that balance of I want to get paid because you should get paid. I have no problem with that, but he'll also want to go somewhere where he feels like they're competing. So I bet he'll take probably not the highest bidder because the highest bidder is probably going to be a team that is nowhere near the playoffs, or maybe they're just scratching the
Seahawks.
surface. Yeah, he's gonna go join
Well, that
Gino.
doesn't make sense. Yeah,
Um,
Gino's playing great.
hey, he's been playing lights out.
49ers.
Um, what if it's the Cardinals? No, but
It'd be wide receiver 7. Like, come on.
yeah, right. Be D Hop, OBJ, but yeah. So I think he'll probably try to find a balance of, give me my money, which is he should do. Every athlete should do.
Yeah, just stay out of
And
Buffalo, OPJ.
oh, I wouldn't like that. Oh, that's actually an intriguing option, right? You
Yeah,
have Diggs and
I've seen
Beckham.
Buffalo. I've seen Tampa Bay. Like, I don't want to see him get into Tampa Bay.
Yeah, KC's got to be in the mix, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
because
then I feel like they're hoarding all the receivers too. They got Shoo.
yeah, right. Yeah, but boy, um, I think Tyreek has proved to everybody that he's not a system guy. Because I think that's what a lot of us
No,
said was like, yeah, he's going to go to Miami, and then it's going to be
my
like,
man's a yards guy.
oh my goodness,
Even in that
yeah,
loss last week, 177 yards. Like, good
oh
God,
something
man.
ridiculous. Yeah,
Yeah,
between him and Waddle, it's like and both of those guys have speed. It's just
yeah. It's a shame that Tua's career is going to be shorter than most thought because of the idiot decision to keep him in those games. And he's coming back this week, so let's add more to it. Dude, the
yeah,
collective breath, everyone's going to lose it if he gets popped again.
yeah. That's right. I think they did say he's practicing this
He's
week.
cleared. He's on track to play this week.
And
2
then in the
games.
same day or like the day after, there's a he does an interview and he's like, "Yeah, like I don't remember anything. I don't remember. I
Yeah.
was unconscious and I just I was gone. I was blacked out, man. Like you're like this is bad, man. I think you need to like take some time. I don't know.
Yeah, man.
Right?
I have gotten some concussions and together coupled in a short amount of time. There's no way my man feels good right now.
Yeah, thankfully, I have never had any consecutive concussions where they've been close to your point where they've been close succession. But
Yeah.
I have had one or two good ones where I was out. You get the it's just darkness, and
Yeah.
then you come to and it's like they when they say seeing stars, you know what I mean then.
And
Um,
the
and one
volume
was
comes back.
one was football, man. I was playing a little football, little high school football back in the day, and I got earholed on kickoff. I was running down the field, and this guy just crackbacked me,
Yeah.
and boom, right. I didn't know what happened. He decleated me, and and I just woke up on the field. That was
Yeah.
basically
Yeah.
how that. But the funny thing is, because it's kickoff and it's high school football, where there aren't team physicians watching all the players, no one knew. Like,
Yeah.
I just, like, came to, and then I was like, "Oh, guess the play's over," and then I just
Yeah.
got up, and I walked back to the sideline, and I didn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I played I got a lot of money in playing hockey, playing adult roller hockey on concrete.
ooh,
Those plastic helmets just don't hold up to the but I scored 3 goals one time after getting one.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Had a
so it
had a
was,
hat trick.
what
No
was that
clue.
movie where the kid breaks his arm?
Rookie of the year.
And yeah, that was basically what happened to you, is you got a concussion, and then you just turned into Gretzky for, like,
Yeah, it was
45
great.
minutes.
Yeah, I don't remember any of it.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Drew, man, but his slap shot is just
Like, to be honest with you, I didn't even know until I showed up the next week. Like, because it was like a weekly thing. I showed up the next week to play, and they're like, "Man, we're gonna get superstar Harrison back this week." And I was like, "What are y'all talking about?" They're like, "Bro, you had 3 goals last week." I was like, "Wait, what?
uh,
Huh?"
you're like, "Yeah, man, I was
Yeah,
I was a spaceman last week. I don't know."
yeah,
Yeah, that was rough. I mean, and all kidding aside too, I watched that game live, and I saw the play, the aforementioned play. And it's scary. It's
Yeah.
scary stuff. See a
Yeah.
guy like that. I mean, I think what it is you see somebody or another human being basically lose control of their body, and it's scary stuff, man. I mean, at the end of the day, it's
Especially when they
football.
try to tell us it's a ankle and back injury.
Oh yeah, the week before, yeah, he's stumbling over, holding his head, and they're like, "Nah, man, he just fell down. And he
You
was
know
just."
what? Whenever my back seizes up, I always shake my head too, you
Yeah,
know?
pretty much. Yeah, I just stumbling all over the place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
terrible,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, it was not good. Obviously, prayers up to Tua. I hope he's doing
And
all
now he's
right.
gotta play Pittsburgh. Ah!
Yeah, that's true. They don't even
Yeah,
have a defensive line anyway. So
yeah, he's still gonna get I feel like, I can just see one of those safeties or cornerbacks coming on a blitz and just open season on that dude.
yeah. Well, let's hope not. Let's
Yeah,
hope. Let's hope he survives another week.
yeah.
And it does. It's almost like gladiators, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
maybe
Can he
he'll
keep
live to
going?
see. Will he
Maybe he'll
live to
keep
see
going.
week 7? Um. Uh. Well, I think that's a nice little segue into our last segment where we're going to go through some games. I'm going to go through the NFC North and NFC South matchups since we know those divisions well. We'll talk about some betting lines. I'll provide some fantasy insight. And yeah, we'll just spitball a little bit. And then once we're done, we'll finish up the show. And yeah, again, I always like to remind everybody make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate you having you on and listening to us ramble on about all these fun football topics and ideas. And certainly, if you have any disagreements, I know I'd like to see them in the comments. So
Yeah.
please put them in the
Hit him
comments.
with us.
Yeah, yeah, and send all the mail to Drew. Though. I don't
Yeah,
want.
yeah. I like mail. I like
Yeah,
holding it in my
he
hand.
really likes mail. I
I
don't
like
know.
reading it,
Mhm.
using a letter opener.
He really likes the mail too that shows up like a ransom note. So if you could clip up some,
Yeah.
yeah,
Shows your creative side.
yeah. Nobody reads magazines anyway, so all those are good for.
Cut them up.
All right. So the first game we have on the docket is going to be our Thursday night football game, which will be Saints at
Yay, Thursday
Cardinals,
night.
yeah, which have been, of course, dumpster fires. This game at least seems like it should be better.
At least they
It's
can put
not.
up some points.
It's not.
Hoping for not a 12-7 game again.
Yeah, it's not Bears. It's not Bears Commanders or whatever we had.
Just as long as there's nothing that ends in Broncos in prime time, I'm okay with it.
Oh, it's been so bad. It's
Yeah.
So I'm big on the TikTok. Steggie stories on TikTok, by the way, everybody.
Drew Harrison
Um,
comedy on TikTok, by the way.
And there we go. What was that one more time?
Drew Harrison comedy on TikTok.
Oh, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
So I did a couple videos. One was just a dumpster on fire with the Thursday night logo and then Al
that's fair.
Michaels opening. So I thought that was pretty creative. And then the other one was a little Family Guy cut up I did. I don't know if you are a fan of the show,
Big
but there's
fan.
a scene where the there's a couple. Of course, it's a cutaway, right? Couple walks in, and basically the kind of the get of the joke is that, or butt of the joke is, people that own dogs are really annoying and they just kind of force feed you their animals. And so I kind of superimposed the Thursday night, or no, it was the Broncos logo on the
Even better.
dog as she shoves it down his throat, and
Even
she
better.
meaning the NFL.
That's
So
what they've been doing to us lately. It's been terrible.
yeah, I'm tired of it. I'm
We don't
tired of the
want
Danger Witch.
Russell Wilson and his 100-yard passing games.
Yeah, I don't want the Danger Witch, whatever that is. Um, it sounds like it's going to give
Look,
me indigestion. So, uh, yeah, first game we got Saints at Cardinals. Cards are picked by 2. Over
it's
unders at
interesting.
44. Um, Drew, what do you think about those lines?
I like it. I can see the Cardinals eking it out. That's a tough one to call though, because I can definitely see the Cardinals with a 1-point win, and then of course you're screwed at that point. Because the Saints find a way to win. I'll give it to them. Who knows who their quarterback's going to be?
So
The
actually, just today, breaking news. They named Dalton the starter.
Yeah, and that means Taysom Hill will be the starter, the most of the quarterback duties for the evening. So you never know if he's going to have 3 touchdowns or run for negative 15 yards. You one of the two. Like he either messes it up or doesn't But the Cardinals' defense has been has been pretty suspect.
Yeah.
Um, I can't believe talk about players playing through stuff. J.J. Watt playing through his heart issues. Like what a lunatic.
Yeah, right?
Uh,
Yeah.
so I don't know where this Cardinals defense is going to be. I can definitely see it just going down to who's got the ball at the end because I think they both make equal scores and then also equal mistakes. So I can see it coming down to a field goal at the end. But I definitely think the Cardinals win this one. I just don't that -2 scares me.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the Cardinals will win this game. I think they've gotta they've gotta get their foot on the gas at some point. Certainly they have
Or do
talent.
they?
We talked about the fact that D Hop comes back this week.
That is going to
Um,
be huge. I think if anything, it's an emotional boost.
yeah. And so I think that overall, I think Arizona's gonna win. I think the Saints have started to sink back a little bit into what we thought they would be. Um, I mean, certainly there's some key pieces there. I love Olave. I mean, Olave is obviously really talented. You still got Michael Thomas. I don't know where Kamara's been.
I think they ruled Thomas out.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that the Cards got this one. If I were a betting man, I'd probably take the Cards here. I'm with you. And the over unders I almost hate with Thursday night football games because Thursday night football games historically they just get weird. They're weird
Yeah.
games, short
Uh,
week. I want
Thomas,
to take the over.
Landry, and Lattimore are all out.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that bodes well for Arizona's offense,
Yeah.
at
And,
least it
that's their
seems.
best corner too. So
Yeah, well, I'm taking the over then. Yeah,
wanted
I'm
to catch
taking
you
the
before
over.
you made your prediction on that one.
Yeah, I
And
appreciate the insight.
that's making the -2 not look that bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm taking the over then. And then as far as if anybody's a daily fantasy player, looking at kind of some of the stats and some weaknesses, if you're looking to play anybody, I think that D Hop's back, so certainly you could play DeAndre Hopkins. It might be a little bit of a trap because
Robbie
obviously it's
Anderson's
first game
first
back.
game as a Cardinal.
That's true, yeah. So yeah, you could always play Anderson as well.
Don't
Uh,
play Anderson.
Not advisable. Doesn't know the playbook yet, but I'd say the player this week in this matchup that's kind of a sneaky play is going to be Jawan Johnson, the tight end for the Saints.
Okay.
Arizona's been really bad against tight ends, like one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in the league against tight ends. And he gets the lion's share of the targets. I think with Dalton, it probably helps that case as well. But to Drew's point, you also might have a game where Taysom Hill just decides to like run and pass the run pass skill game his way through Thursday Night Football, which is going to be weird if that happens. So, if you want to take a flyer, my vote is for Jawan Johnson, tight end, Saints.
That's fair. I think also a player to look at because he always pops up out of nowhere for the Saints is that other receivers at Callaway
Oh yeah, Callaway. Yep.
that pops up whenever it seems like they got some injuries. So I can see him being at least getting a trash time touchdown or two.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. I mean, that's just the thing, and especially now that you've got like you mentioned with Thomas being out, and Dalton likes to spread the ball around.
Yeah,
He's not going to go to just a couple guys. I mean, for all of his faults, Dalton definitely gets the whole offense involved. So, um,
that he does.
yeah, you never know who could go off. That's for sure. All right, next game we've got is Lions at Cowboys.
Oh,
Cowboys are picked by 7, so Cowboys -7, over and under is 49, one of the highest over unders of the week. So certainly
ooh,
Vegas
okay.
thinks there's going to be a lot of points scored in this game.
No defense for the Lions, so I can see that.
Yeah. 46 of those will be from the Cowboys. No,
God, I hope not. I mean, it could be. I definitely could see it, but God, I hope
I
not.
hope not. I think that so this one I'll start with and then I'll get your opinion here.
All right.
If for my money, um if Prescott's back, which it sounds like he might be, um I think I'm taking the Cowboys if Prescott's back.
Yeah.
Um, Even at -7, just because that defense is so bad. But if it's still Cooper Rush for another week, I might take the points. I might take the points with the Lions. They're coming off of a bye week. They're going to try to do some different things. We know the offense is good. So I think they can hang for long enough. I do respect the Cowboys defense. I think the Cowboys defense is pretty good. But at the end of the day, yeah, if Prescott's in, I'm probably taking the Cowboys. If he's not, I'm going to take the points and the Lions to probably lose, but lose by less than 7. And I'm going to take the over. I think this game's going to go over 49. Unless, I mean, I know they got blanked by New England, so I could be wrong, but I think this game is probably going to be one of your highest scoring games of the week.
Nice. I agree with you. I think unfortunately if it's Prescott or Rush, that I'll take Cowboys and the points this week. Just because that Cowboys defense is just I'm worried because I have Swift and St. Brown on my fantasy team, and I don't want them to get hurt again. I need them to play the rest of the season. So I'm worried about Swift turning that corner and seeing Mr. Parsons there. So I definitely think you're right. I'll take the over as well. I think this could be one of those where it's like 35-21, something like that, you know. So I don't
Yeah.
think the game's ever going to be really in question, but I think the Lions are going to put a few points up on them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're spot on. Where we have similar thoughts there. As far as fantasy is concerned, um, I don't think I can comfortably take anybody on the Lions because I do respect that Cowboys D.
That's fair.
Um,
I'm very
and
very scared about my matchups this week.
yeah, and I just think that it's hard to confidently attack that defense with this offense. But I think there are pieces in there. I mean, I think St. Brown could have a good week. I also think that Swift could have a good week. It's possible that Jamal Williams has a good week. But if I were going to start anybody for daily this week, um, you got your chalky plays on the Cowboys, and I think there are some good plays there. Certainly, CDs in play. I think this is going to be maybe a sneaky week for Zeke. Um,
Okay, I can
Detroit
see
has
that.
given up 2 games where they gave up more than 200 yards on the ground. So they're definitely susceptible to good running back play. Um, but keep an eye on that one. This might be a weird game where and I think this plays into the Dak thing even more. I think if Dak plays, it might even make sense to go heavy on Zeke and maybe even stack him with Pollard because they're going to take it easy on Dak. They're not going to bring him back from injury and then have him throw 45 times. Um, so I think they might go heavy on the ground, especially if Dak comes back. And yeah, you could see some big games from those backs. So if I'm looking for a couple running backs, these guys you probably already have rostered and season long, but if you're playing daily, they might fit into your lineup this week.
There you go.
Looking at the next game we've got on the docket, it's going to be Falcons at Bengals.
Very
Bungles.
intriguing. Very intriguing. On the
Yeah.
Nickel and Dime show this week, we had this as one of our marquee matchups to look for, just because we didn't expect the Falcons to be here. So
Yeah.
no, 3-3 Falcons has a weird ring to it, doesn't it? The
Yeah.
Marcus Mariota led 3-3 Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, they've been really I mean impressive is probably a weird way to put it, but they have definitely overachieved certainly where I thought they'd be. And then if you add in the fact that Cordero Patterson went on IR, and they've still continued to look serviceable. Not that he's like the whole team, but he was a big part of their offense. Yeah, I mean, I give it all to the team, man, for fighting. And obviously you look at a team like that came in with really low expectations. One of the teams we're not going to cover today, or when we go through this, is the Giants. I know they're 5-1, but just a similar story as far as they come in really low expectations. And look, all these guys are professional athletes, right? They've all been superstars at one point, whether that was college or at the NFL level. Um, So they all have talent. It's just a matter of putting it together with the right coaching staff and whatever. So, yeah, certainly surprised to see Atlanta where they're at, and then the Bengals are kind of the opposite story, where it's
Yeah.
like, what happened to the Bengals?
Yep.
Certainly they looked better last week. Um, I think that something you just brought up, the fact that the Bengals have still not been the 2021 Bengals yet, though. I think this line feels a little too much. I feel like
I agree.
that -6 is a little bit I think Atlanta might keep this close. I think this might be even an upset alert of the week, where I could see the Falcons doing something crazy, and if Burrow can't get through whatever he's getting through and starts throwing picks again, could
Yeah.
be a long day.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, especially it seems like Arthur Smith has found out how to use Mariota, appropriately, and, even with, Patterson going down with injury, they've still had more of a next man up, put another running back in there and figure it out mentality. Because on paper, their offense does not put up big numbers,
Yeah,
but they get the job done. They put up 28 points on a very tough, now albeit they had a couple injuries, but still a very tough 49ers defense last week. So I agree with you. I think -6 is a little too much for my comfort zone.
yeah, yeah. And the over under at 47.5 is a tough one because if I really believe my narrative that the Falcons can maybe pull this one out, that probably favors the under. Um,
Yeah,
because I think if we start going over, it probably means the Bengals are starting to take over a little bit.
little
Um,
touchdown heavy.
yeah. So I'm gonna take the under.
Okay.
I'm gonna if I were betting on this game, I'm gonna take the under, but not by much. I think this game, still ends up in the 40s, but I think I think I think we could have a game that's like a 24 to like 20 or something like
Yeah,
that.
I could see that for sure.
Yeah. And then as far as fantasy is concerned, this one, you already kind of touched on it. I am all in favor for taking a flyer on Mariota this week because the Bengals are really bad against the run, and Mariota already has 3 rushing touchdowns this year for himself. Um, if you're feeling a little spicy, the Bengals have given up an average of 190 yards on the ground the last 2 weeks. So
Bodes well.
yeah,
Bodes
Mariota
well.
could be a nice streamer for you. And then the only other two would be on the Bengals side. Jamar Chase obviously is always a great option, and he's got a good matchup this week. And then the other one is another tight end, Hayden Hurst for Cincinnati.
He has shown up
Um,
a little bit.
Super good matchup this week against the Falcons. Falcons struggle against tight ends, so if
Yeah.
you're looking for somebody kind of cheaper, Hayden Hurst might be your guy.
I am excited about that, Chase and, Terrell matchup.
Oh yeah. Well, the next game is going to be your favorite game, Drew,
Uh-oh.
which is
Oh,
going to be the
no.
Bucks at the Panthers. We got Bucks at Panthers. Um,
Just
they're
look at
in.
all the drama that's going on with the Buccaneers, and they still put us at -11.
Yeah, we've got. I mean, I think Giselle could probably serve Tom Brady divorce papers in the first quarter, and the
Which
Bucks
we're
might still win this game.
little inside note we are pushing for.
We
Um,
actually cleared security already
yeah.
and said just come out on the field, and it's fine. And then announce that you're also dating Harry
Yeah.
Styles just to spice it
Yeah.
up a bit.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
Uh,
I'm all for it, man. Beat keep losing.
yeah. Yeah, so obviously this is a tough one. That's a lot of points. 11 points is a huge
And the
spread.
offense is not looking that good.
The offense isn't looking good. Boy, this is one if I was betting real money and not just Steggy dollars, I would probably I think I'm still taking the Bucks here, as crazy as that sounds. I wouldn't feel good about it
Smart.
though, because that's just a ton of points to give up.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think this is
The
gonna be
alternate's just too scary.
yeah, and you can see it in the over under, which is 40.5. It's pretty
Yeah.
low. It's not the
Yeah.
lowest of the week, but that's pretty low. I think this game is gonna be a snore fest. I think
Same,
it's
bro.
gonna be something stupid like I kid you not, I could see this game being like a 15-3 game or something like that.
That's fair, and that's what the red zone channel's for, sir.
Yeah.
so I don't have to watch
Tune in.
it.
I only have one fantasy player this week out of this matchup that I think is actually a really strong play, and that's Fournette. I think Fournette's a
Oh,
super
Lenny
strong
bounces
play
back,
this
huh?
week. Carolina really struggles against pass catching running backs, not
Ooh,
only from a yardage perspective, but also touchdowns. I
that's
believe
fair.
they've given up the most amount of passing touchdowns to running backs.
That
So,
sounds
and
right.
guess what Tampa Bay likes to do? Pass to
Throw it to
Fournette.
the running back.
So it's like a team strength against a team weakness. So
That's
I
fair.
think he's one of my locks this week. I love Fournette this next week,
Understandable.
and then I'll move. Come on. All right,
This
next week we've
game.
got
Woo.
yeah, Packers at Commanders. I'll let you kind of digest this one.
I am excited about this because no Carson Wentz.
Carson Wentz.
We
Yeah.
get to see Heineke, possibly my guy Sam Howell, who I wish was with the Panthers, but uh, I think when it's all said and done, Sam Howell just might be the best quarterback in this draft. But I digress because he might not play. But I still like the fire that this team seems to show when Heineke's in the game. Um, they got weapons, so I don't. And I know Carson's put up some numbers, so it's not completely on him because this defense, who we thought was supposed to be very good, has not been that good. So if this is a game that Aaron Rodgers is kind of looking at to see when can we kind of get this back on track, this might be the game. I am worried about the Commanders being able to stop even what resemblance of a passing game the Packers can put out there. I don't trust them to cover Tanyan that well. And the good thing, I guess, the silver lining of the Packers wide receiver situation is you don't know who to cover because they all suck equally. So I can see this becoming a game where the Packers kind of put up some passing numbers. And
Yeah.
especially since I have Aaron Rodgers on my fantasy team and I plan on benching him this week. So
Naturally, this is when he'll throw for 6 touchdowns.
exactly.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is going to be a good week for Green Bay. I say that begrudgingly because as a Vikings fan, I hope they lose every week.
Of course.
Um, unless it somehow benefits me because
Yeah, that's
I'm
fair.
petty like that.
That's fair.
Um, yeah, I do think that they win. I think they get out of their little slump that they're in, at least for this week. Washington's been pretty bad defensively, and especially against the pass. So, as bad as I think the Green Bay offense has been, the Jets, for all their holes and whatever they got going on, they've got some young talent over there.
Yeah. Jets are a scary
So
team. I'm not gonna lie.
I wasn't surprised that they gave them a tough time last week
Yeah.
in Lambeau, which was crazy. But no, I think Green Bay takes care of business. Um, if I'm again taking a look at the line here, I think I'm taking the Packers,
Yeah.
even at a five and a
I
half.
trust them to win by a touchdown.
Yeah, yep, and I'm going over because again, I don't think Green Bay's defense is that good. So, and I like
I don't think either one of them's defense is that good. Put
Heineke.
up all the points.
I believe Heineke is starting, and he has some Minnesota connections. He was here, and actually, did you know the little the Heineke connection with Minnesota? Did you know the reason why he is not, or I mean, he's probably not in Minnesota for a lot of reasons, but basically, what sparked his exit?
Mm-mm. Kirk Cousins.
So no, so Heineke was a practice squad quarterback for us, and then we
Okay.
brought him. We thought he was actually going to compete for a backup spot, and in the preseason, and he was like balling out in the preseason. Like he looked like he was going to be our number two. Maybe that was behind Bradford if we go back. That I mean, it was
Okay.
that long ago.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, he got hammered, and he got hammered drunk and was walking back to his buddy's place, and his buddy like locked his keys in his house, and Heineke decided to kick through the glass door, like a glass storm door so they could get in, and he sliced his foot open, and he had to miss the season because he legit sliced into the ligaments of his foot.
Good
Um,
job. You're a paid quarterback in the National Football League.
for that he
Maybe
earns
think
a
about
little.
things.
I mean, because who hasn't been hammered and doesn't want to kick down a glass door? So
Yeah.
I just thought, he got negative points for that season. But as I digested it, I kind of found myself liking him a little more.
He had some fun in Carolina. We all
Exactly.
miss him.
No, I do. I have this weird. I have a little bit of a weird thing. I just like Heineke. He's kind of like a worse version of Baker, where he's just a fiery dude, and
Yeah.
he kind of sucks more than
Yeah.
probably Baker, but
He
maybe
he
not.
he won me over in that playoff game against Tampa Bay 2 years ago.
Oh sure, yeah, 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 yeah. I
Played
just
the
think he's got a
heart
lot
out,
of
man.
grit.
Yeah.
Just stop kicking down the glass door.
Yeah, don't kick any more storm doors,
Yeah.
buddy.
As far as fantasy's concerned on this one, I think I already kind of tipped my hand. Rogers, I think could have a big week. Lazard, Romeo Dobbs, both of those wide receivers. I would maybe look at those. The other one that could be a little enticing is Aaron Jones. I know it seems chalky, but the
Yeah.
reason why is because I think the Packers would love to just go air it out and prove that they're not as bad as what everybody's saying they are. And if they do, if they get up like 21-0, they're just going to pound Aaron Jones for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
So then you could have a big day from Aaron Jones. So again, it's you kind of have to play game script there. You're almost looking into the future, crystal ball if you have you. So that's kind of a tough one, but I do think Rodgers, Lazard, and Dobbs are decent picks. Nobody on Washington.
No B Rob love?
What's that?
No Brian Robinson love?
No, no, no,
That's fair.
not this week. Actually, if there's anybody, maybe Gibson.
Okay.
Um, I think Gibson might have an okay week, but you're really gonna have to hope for game script.
And a
A
touchdown.
positive
He's
game
very
script there.
touchdown dependent,
Yeah, and just to hope that Aaron Rodgers and company doesn't make it so they have to be pass heavy.
which they
Um,
probably will.
but yeah, Green Bay's been susceptible against the run, so yeah, you could certainly look to try to match up against the ground game there.
Yeah.
All right, last one. Last game
Oof.
is Monday
Is
Night
this really
Football.
Monday night?
Yeah.
Oh man, come on, guys.
Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking. Obviously,
Like
they
I
must have.
understand going into the season relying on Denver, hoping that Russell does something for him, and then having egg on your face when that doesn't pan out. But primetime games planned ahead of time with the Bears?
I mean, maybe they thought this was going to be Fields' year coming out party.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah. It's not looking good. Bears at Patriots. Pats -7.5.
That's a
I believe
huge.
this is your lowest over and under of the week at 39.5.
But to give a team with -7.5 with a third string quarterback, I hear you.
Yeah, Zappies looked good. I don't like his name. I just can I say that? I don't I
That's
want to
fair.
say Zap. I feel like it's when you look
We've
at
been
the
programmed all these years for it to be Zap.
it's like when I see the vitamin shop and it has the E at the end and they want and is it shoppy? Is it shop? I don't know.
I
I
hate
don't
that
like
too.
it.
Yeah. No, I
It
hear you.
makes me feel uneducated.
Same.
So I think in this game I'm gonna say I'm going Pats
Yeah.
because I think it's gonna be the vitamin shoppy that's going to be playing. I don't
Three
think Mac
touchdowns.
Jones, yeah, is
two
coming
two
back,
200 yards.
and I hate this over and under because it's so easy to go over 39.5. And I do think Chicago is.
But these teams, it's so easy to not.
I know. And look, they did blank. They did blank the Detroit Lions. You
Yeah.
know,
This could be another 29-0 game, or whatever they
you
scored,
know.
25. I don't know.
So I think it feels like I want to go under. Um, but it might not. I don't know. So I guess my official pick is I'm going to say Pats and I'm going to say under.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. What
I can
do
see
you
that.
think?
I'll give you Pats. And then yeah, I'll give you under 2 because what at most I see the Bears getting 2 touchdowns somewhere.
Something like that.
So I can see it,
Maybe Fields goes crazy.
24-14, somewhere like that. Like right at it, just enough to scare you a little bit.
Yeah, and as far as fantasy is concerned, I have one player that I'm eyeing this week, and that is um, Ramondre Stevenson. So
I was like, where are you going? You going Myers? You going Harris? Go
yeah,
Stevenson.
man, I'm gonna go with my boy Stevenson from the
That's a good.
Pats, man.
That's a safe pick. That's good.
The Bears have given up 9 rushing touchdowns in 6
Ouch.
weeks.
Ouch.
9.
I
So
might throw Harris in there just for a trash touchdown, maybe.
yeah. Yeah, man. So I think that's he's probably the only guy I'm looking at this week. But this is a gross game. This is one I'll definitely throw on and hope that I can also flip back and forth between this and whatever basketball game is starting. So
That's fair.
uh
That's fair.
yeah, and I'm not too worried about the
What
Bears as a Vikings fan. So
what a sports time. We got football, basketball, hockey. Big
playoff
hockey
baseball?
fan. Playoff
Yeah.
baseball, which my Braves lost, so not as much. But yeah, sure, sure. Anybody but the Phillies.
Yeah, I mean as a Twins fan, I was lost months ago.
That's fair. Still some of the best uniforms in the game. I'll give you guys that.
Oh, yeah, do you like the red on the with the gold lettering, you know?
I kind of do.
Yeah, I'm digging that one too. Those are
Yeah,
pretty
I
cool.
just remember I had an old school. I played one of the first teams that I played Pee Wee baseball with were the Twins, and that's back when the rec leagues actually gave you nice uniforms. So we had
Yeah.
the gray with the blue pinstripe, and we had the stirrups, the navy blue stirrups. And then we
Yeah,
had the
those
navy with the red twins across. Like, come on, man. That was
yeah,
gorgeous
that's
uniform.
clean. That's clean right there, man.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah,
Ugh.
what a time to be a sports fan right now. I've gotten into Premier League soccer, so that's on in the mornings now. So I'm just loving. What a time to be a sports fan.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is a fun time, man. My brother-in-law, he's tried to get me into cycling, and the
Okay.
thing is they're all, like, over in Europe, so
Yeah.
he'll, like, text me at, like, quarter to 5 in the morning, and he's like, "Are you up?
Yeah,
You
like,
gonna" you know,
no.
and I'm like, "Ah, man. Oh,
I
I'm
got some
done.
friends that try to get me into F1, so I hear
I
you.
can't."
I can't do it. Okay, I
Yeah,
can't.
like, that's a lot of exercise for that early in the morning.
Yeah.
So
I learned soccer. That's the only new sport I'm not taking any more current applications right now. Enough of my time, as you can see by this wall behind me, is spent on sports. I don't need to add to it.
yeah, we got a new soccer team, here, the Minnesota United.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and then we got a nice brand new stadium that just opened up probably about 25 minutes from where I'm at, and
Yeah.
it's beautiful. I still haven't gone, but look,
Same here in Nashville.
I'm not a big, soccer guy, but boy, you know, you tell me live sports, man, I'm all over it.
Yeah.
I'll
And also FIFA's gotten me more into soccer too. So like
yeah.
pumped about it. I'd never thought I'd be at this point in my life and I actually watch a full soccer game. And I do. It's great.
It's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, man.
All right, Drew. Well, I'm gonna start wrapping us up here. I
I hear you,
really
man.
appreciate you joining me tonight.
Oh, thanks for
Uh,
having me, man. I appreciate you.
yeah,
This was fun.
it's been
Yeah.
a blast. Hopefully, we can do it again sometime.
Let me get my Panthers frustrations out there. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, really, what this is, I'm not even gonna put this out. I think we're probably just gonna keep this to ourselves, and it's just gonna be like a therapy session. Where
That's fair.
we
Okay.
think we're talking to other people, but no,
No.
it's just the two of us. You
Yeah.
know. But no, I do want to thank you, Drew, for joining, and certainly for all of you that watch and consume any of our episodes here on the Skull Purple podcast. Again, thanks for joining the first Skull with Steggie episode. We're looking to do this series every single week with great guests, talk about what's going on in the NFL, and just talk sports. So again, thanks for joining us. Make sure, of course, you do subscribe and hit that like button if you do like the content. And before we go, Drew, where can people find you? Where can people consume all of your wonderful things that you're a part of?
Yeah, man. I have a fresh new special out there on my YouTube channel. So just type in Drew Harrison Stand Up and that'll pop up for you. Got to film it and record it in beautiful downtown Wilmington, North Carolina at the Dead Crow Comedy Room. So that's out there. Got some sketches. That we got some very talented people here in Nashville, the Nashville comedy scene. So I've been trying to take advantage of that. Shot some sketches with some very funny people. Also, my weekly football show, Nickel and Dime Football, with my buddy Sean Sudler, every week on the YouTube channel. And then we also have a My Funny Friends comedy podcast where me and my co-host Will Abels talk to comics about how they came up and all that good stuff. So DrewHarrisonComedy.com's got links to everything, but most importantly, just subscribe to my YouTube channel for all that good content.
Awesome, Drew. Well, I can certainly attest that the album's fantastic. So definitely go out there,
Thank you.
give that a listen. Drew's one of the funniest guys you're going to listen to today. So
Well, thank you, man.
thanks again for joining me. And of course, we always like to say Skol. I'm not going to make you say it, Drew.
That's fair.
I might make
I
you do
still
the
don't know what
Skol
it
chant.
means. I still don't know
No?
what it means. It's okay.
Now, thanks everybody, and we'll catch you on the next one.